Did it do it? We are live. Awesome. Well, welcome today to the Talks of Automation. And we're going to talk about some advanced lead scoring concepts. So we do a Knights of Automation as B Pro. In fact, we should probably see like the B Pro logo right there. There you go. Let's move this little bad boy down here. All right, cool. So the general idea is that we have a little Knights of Automation private Facebook group, and we go live on it on the second and fourth Thursday of every month at 4 p.m., at least through the rest of the year. We might change that format. And so we talk about all sorts of stuff. And myself and Justin, who, if you've been looking at any of the B Pro keyboard shortcut videos lately, he has been giving us awesome tips on how to be pro and use like really awesome kinds of things. But you know what? I got super excited and I hopped right into it. First, check out this really spiffy intro. All right, cool. So, wasn't that a blast? All right. So, we do this Knights of Automation thing, and we figured, why don't we just follow up with that? It reminds me of The Walking Dead back in the day, where there'd be like The Walking Dead, and they would be The Talking Dead right after that. So, that's what we're going to go ahead and do today. We talked about lead scoring at like a real conceptual, like, what is it? The general idea is that we discussed that lead scoring is kind of a misnomer because you can use this concept of scoring based on behavior, on the fulfillment cycle of a customer journey, on the sales cycle, on the marketing cycle. Doesn't really matter. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about those exact specific rules and how you would use them in various places. So here we are hanging out. I'm going to go ahead and pull up, and I'm going to say go ahead a third time because why not? It's been a long day, y'all. We're going to go and look at our lead scoring settings here. So the general concept is the same for most tools out there. Of course, we use Keep, but lead scoring exists in pretty much any major adult CRM that's out there. So the whole idea is this. People get points for various things that they do. So if they click on a link, give them some points. If they fill out a web form, give them some points. If they unsubscribe, go take away a bunch of points. Now, if it's an advanced professional CRM, there's this idea of a decaying lead score, which Keep does have that. So you'll notice that, listen, if someone clicks a link, give them 5 points, but after 16 weeks, those points go away. Okay? Because this is unique for every single link click. If I send you 4 emails to 4 different blog posts and you click on all 4 of those, you're going to go ahead and get 20 points. All right, but then those go away. And then when it comes to the maximum score, that's really the name of the game. The idea is that you have so many points until you have the most points. And so in this case, we've set it to in Keep's case, the idea is that it's a flame level. So like, how hot is this lead? What's their lead score? Is it 1, 3, 5 flames? So we're saying, listen, if you have 25 points, you equal 5 flames. Okay? And this is the general concept for any kind of lead scoring that's out there and that's available. And I also want to acknowledge right now that I am multi-streaming. So if you're leaving comments either on Facebook or LinkedIn or anything like that, I can't actually see them. So thank you for hanging out and attending. But I'll go ahead and look at these after the fact. So we're talking about advanced applications of this today. So here's the beginner idea. You assign points when stuff happens, and then there's a maximum number of points that you can have. And then that determines your lead score. So let's go ahead and talk about this from a fulfillment standpoint. Actually, before we get to that, it's all rules based. And so this is activity based, as you can see. But you can usually do other rules based on if people have a certain tag or don't have a certain tag. And so we're going to go ahead and start off with the idea of fulfillment lead scoring. If you have any kind, especially if you have a membership site, and I'm going to give a huge shout out to Michael Edelman for expanding my mind on this. I watched a presentation of his many years ago at some kind of conference, and he was like, you can use lead scoring for your membership site. And I was like, whoa, I never ever thought of that in my life, but it makes so much sense, especially if people are paying you and they're paying to be on your membership site. You want to go ahead and pay super attention to them. Okay? So let's go ahead and pretend that we have, do I have something as an example here? Like if you hit login. Fine, actually, we do have a couple of things that we can use. So like Automate Like a Pro. We got a free mini course out there. It'll take you half an afternoon to get through. It shows exactly how we plan automation, all these kinds of things. But let's go ahead and say something. We'll keep with this for like 5 points. So we have various tags based on the different modules that are completed. So we're going to use a really simple example of you have a membership site and you have modules that people get through. So we're going to say something like, listen, if you've completed module 1, you get 5 points. No, this is advanced. So what if I were to say module 2 in here? That's 5 points, right? This logic is OR logic. So if I have both of these tags in plain English, you would think, oh yeah, I have 10 points. But that's not how this works. This is one condition. So what I would actually need to do is, if I want to go ahead and give 5 points for every module, I would have to create a distinct and unique rule for each of the modules that have been completed. So we'll just go ahead and do this. And, ooh, keyboard shortcuts module too. That's coming up. So I'm not going to say anything more than that, but we got some really cool stuff coming up here. So let's just go do this for... I pressed enter. I don't know why I pressed enter. There you go. All right, let's try this again. We'll do for 3 and 4. Okay, there's only 4 modules in the whole thing. Oh, and when it comes to activity, like I said, you can do link clicks, web forms, email unsubscribes. Now, an email open, this is actually not reliable anymore, especially because it's 2025 right now. It's almost the end of 2025. Can you believe they were in Q4? I can't. But a lot of enterprise level email servers and even things like Apple, they'll go ahead and open your email just to sniff for malicious code. So you might see email opens, but it's literally not people opening the email. It's just the servers that are receiving the email, seeing if there's anything bad in there. And usually the best way to tell this is if you look at the moment the email is sent, they open it immediately. Okay? Humans don't do that. That's not like a real thing. Like if you send 100 emails, you might get one person that's just happened to be sitting in their inbox right then and there, and then they open that email. So when you see an email sent and it's immediately open, that's usually a bot open, and that's just people checking for, you know, firewalls or whatever, Microsoft checking to see if you've got any bad stuff in your emails. So criminals ruin things for everybody, and this is a great example of this. But let's go finish this here. So here's the idea. We're like, listen, if they, you know, module 4, pardon me, module 3. You can also do inverse logic too if you wanted to get super fancy with it. So let's look at this. Let's say people get 10 points, 210. Let's say that they get like 3 points for module 1, 8 for module 2, and then 10 for module 3. So right there, if you complete 1, 2, and 3, that's 21 points right there. Plus everybody has access. You know what? I'm just going to say 1 point. Fine. If you have access and you complete a module 1, that only gives you 4. That only gives you 4 points. That's not even enough to hit 1 flame. Okay? Because 25 points is 5 flames, which means that 25 divided by 5 equals 5. You must have 5 points to even hit a 1 flame score. So just because you have access, that gives you just a barely like, high five, cool story, bro. Okay? And then we can say something like, let's look at something that subtracts rules. We've seen this here. Listen, if you unsubscribe, minus 100 points, it goes away. So let's do something like this, just for funsies. We're going to say, listen, if If the tag doesn't contain ALAP complete, then take away, whatever, 5 points. Which this is module 4. There's only 4 modules. So like, let's say I have access and I've completed module 1. That gives me 4 points. But because I don't have it completed, it's -5 from that. So I'm actually -1. My score doesn't even show up. Okay. What if I have access and I completed module 2? Because we actually don't keep tags on people. We only have the tag that they're on. So when you complete module 2, module 1 goes away. Okay? Because you don't need to have a whole bunch of tags on people. That's just going to slow your database down. So if I have access and I complete a module 2, that's 9 points total, but I don't have this completed. 9 minus 5 is 4 points. That's still not even enough to get a flame. Okay? What about module 3? So I have module 3 plus access. That's 11 points here. -5 is 6 because I've not completed it yet. Fine. I at least get 1 flame. And then now we can create a rule for something else that says, listen, if the tag does contain that we've completed it, then let's give them, what do we want to give them? They already have access. That never goes away. So let's give them 3 flames just for funsies, right? So that would be 15 points required. So this would be 14 points because this 14 plus 1 goes here. Now I'm not even putting decays on this, right? Again, this is advanced, and you can see how wildly insane that this can be for a membership site. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these rules because I think I've proven the idea of where you can add points for stuff, you can take away points for stuff not being there, or like stuff that you don't want to have happen. Let's go look at how the automation can work for this. And let's talk about like a larger membership site. Okay, so I'm going to go look at an automation model right now. So this is the default rules for lead scoring. In fact, if you have the Infusionsoft cookbook, which is still relevant, people still buy it, strategies are timeless, this is kind of the baseline that we recommend. Listen, if somebody clicks 5 links within like a month or so, they're really hot. They're paying attention to what you have going on. All right, let's go look at the sandbox here. So let's pretend that you have, when it comes to fulfillment, it's actually about keeping people engaged. So let's say something like this. Let's say that you have rules like we just showed for the various modules, right? Okay, so we can say something like, purchase course A. Of course, we want them to log in. We want them to get value out of this. Okay, so there's almost going to be like a login timer here. The goal of the login timer is for people to achieve a certain lead score. So now let's just say that, let's keep it simple. Let's say that there's 5 modules in here. And let's say that every time they complete a module, they get 5 points. So if they complete all 5 modules, they have 25 points. They're at 5 flames. Okay. But what's the bare minimum level of interaction? So let's say something like module 1 complete, right? And we'll even say, hey, listen, if the score increases to 1 flame, they buy the thing, they log in, they should at least complete the module, right? Kind of here's how this can look. So obviously, we're going to send some messaging. I'm actually not really worried about any of this. It's mostly an operational thing. So let's say something like, and it doesn't matter what you're using for a membership site. So if you're using something like Memberium, it's like add to Memberium, okay? Which is a membership site plugin for WordPress. Or maybe you're using something like Customer Hub, which is tag-based. So then I was like, cool, apply course A tag, which will then give them access. In real life, you would not use both of these, but it depends on, what you're doing. and it didn't let me rename this, so I'm just going to say whatever. This is like a customer hub example, which this is advanced. This stuff is supports HTML, so I usually like to throw a little h3 tag, make the text a little bigger, make it look a little nicer. Here we are. Okay. So obviously this adds people to Memberium. In general, you probably want to give a short delay just to make sure all the stuff under the hood can do its job. So back in the day, it would be like, hey, wait 1 minute and then send any date anytime, right? Well, we can now just say no delay, just have a small buffer here. Listen, this is going to run immediately within hundreds of milliseconds, which is a fraction of a second. So it's going to happen, everything's going to be fine, and then you can be like, log into course A. All right, so talking about lead scores here. If people complete course A, we can adjust their score. Which means module 1 has been completed. All right. Maybe that's all that we really care about. Are they getting engaged? And then maybe if they don't log into course A or they don't complete it, maybe we do like it depends on the course. Let's just say it's just like a week, whatever, a week at 8, and then there's like a, hey, complete course A. Get them back into that. Now, what if they don't do that? And again, we're keeping this super simple because it is very unique to your membership site, and we'll look at a couple other examples in a moment. But like, what if they never complete course A? Okay, so we could say something like, listen, if they never do this, go create a task to like reach out to stalled member. Spell, that'd be great. Go ahead and see what's happening with these folks, right? Like, why did they complete course A? Why didn't they complete this module? All right, this is just one example. What if you have a membership site with like multiple courses, and the whole idea is to keep people engaged, keep them logging in? Maybe you're doing like live streams, maybe you're regularly updating content. Okay, so this is where we can use the idea of increasing scores and decreasing scores. So this is just one example. Let's kind of pop this to the side here. So tracking logins is a big one. So let's say that you create a rule so that, here, let's do something like this. So every time somebody logs in, which is done through the API, tracking that. Again, this is something you can do in Memberium, Customer Hub, whatever. I would say something like, track login. If I could spell, man, it's been a long day. Track member login. And then maybe all that we do operationally, there's actually two things you would do. You'd want to go ahead and track the member login as a note. And so we can just say, listen, this is, log into the portal. Okay, log into the portal. So now you're actually going to have a log inside the CRM that they logged in every time that it happens. It just happens. And then let's say they're, just for funsies, because it's rule-based, and again, not a fan of rules, probably not a fan of tags, but in this case, it's a necessary evil. Do we have like a login? Fine, we're going to do like a portal login. I'm just going to create a temporary tag for this purpose today. Fine, portal login. Apply this tag, and then we would create a rule of like, hey, listen, every time someone has this portal login, give them, again, we'll keep it 25 as 5 flames, just, I don't know, give them like 2 points. I don't know. But this should expire after like 2 weeks, okay? So if you log in once, or you log in like 2 or 3 times in a week, maybe you'll get a flame. But then that goes away. So you need to be logging in regularly, right? So tracking member login, and then what we'd actually do, I'm not going to mark any of this stuff as ready, because again, this is advanced. We're all really smart. We all know what we're doing. I would do something like a tag reset. So just automatically flow people into here. So as soon as they log in, we track it, we apply the tag, and then I would do something at like midnight. No delay, any day, any time at midnight. Yeah, just remove the login tag. So if they log in multiple times in one day, fine, whatever. We want to be tracking that they've been logging in day after day after day after day. A couple of really important things here. So every time this tag gets applied, it's going to apply points. And those points will decay after 2 weeks. So that means we do need to reset this tag. The other thing that's cool too is that when they log in and hits the API, they go here. This pretty much runs immediately, and then they're done with the sequence. Then they flow into here. This is almost acting as a ground. In fact, I'll just say ground, tag reset, right? So the next day that somebody logs in, if they're not in here, it's just going to go back into here, go into here, and just kind of resets. Okay, so let's talk about member engagement. So looking at something like a lead score, so like lead score falls to 2, okay? So let's say the lead score decreases to 2 or fewer flames. Based on your rules, maybe this means that they logged in and never finished stuff, or like they finished a course, but then that was like a couple of months ago. Like, who knows what the case is. This is something where we can go ahead and, like, you know, re-engage folks. You know, go log in again. Hey, we missed you. Have you seen the latest thing that's been showing up, right? This could even be something that even gets more extreme of, like, if the lead score falls to 2 and then it falls to 1, this would be something of a like a community manager outreach. Because something's going on. Like, listen, their lead score just, it fell. We tried to re-engage them, and even that didn't work. So, cool, because go now have an actual human reach out to them. Because you know what? This means they're a cancel risk. That means that that monthly recurring revenue for that one person might go away. Okay? Or you could do something as well. Like, let's say that there's like a failed payment. Let's say something doesn't work. You could use that as like something that takes away a bunch of points. So if I have, I don't know if I have any tag for this. Maybe I do. Maybe I have an example here. Decline downside. Fine. Final payment attempt fail. So we can create a rule that says, listen, if the contacts tag contains final payment fail, go ahead and take them down by 50 points, which, by the way, you do need to, you actually, you have to go down -1 with the little arrows. Then you can say this. So find final payment fail. Yeah, should probably stop. I feel like I'm. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. But this is the Talks of Automation. Final payment attempt -50 points. That's going to take everything down to 0, which means that's like a huge problem. Okay. So there's no goal for this. This is being applied as a result of the billing stuff. But like, let's say that lead score drops to 0. Score drops to 0. If we set our rules up in such a way, that's going to mean that, like, there's a problem. So if it decreases to 0 or fewer flames, this is absolutely a community manager outreach, and this is like an urgent community manager outreach is what I would say. And then hopefully their score at least rises to something. Hopefully we get their payment, you know, to anything. Hopefully it increases to at least 1 flame or more, right? So we could have another tag that says like, listen, if the payment was successful, go ahead and assign, I don't know, 55 points. The other thing too is you got to remember that these are happening in parallel and whatnot, and it's all with respect to like what's happening right now. So if somebody's payment attempt is accepted, like they clear their balance, that tag should be removed, which means that their score will no longer have minus 50. Okay? So in some other campaign, some other automation here, this is probably how, again, in many ways to skin a digital cat here. I'd probably say something like, whatever, failed payment, because there's a billing trigger, final fail, okay? And then this can have some kind of like, you know, billing recovery. And then hopefully they're going to actually do a successful payment, which I know I definitely have one of these, any kind of successful payment, right? And then we would do something like, you know, reset tags. So this tag and this tag needs to be removed. So that way this mechanism can repeat next time, next month, whatever the case is. So these score bits can run in parallel with the billing stuff. Okay? So I actually think I'm going to go ahead and stop from here. I know I said that I was going to talk about like sales-based versions of this and marketing-based versions of this, but really, if you have a membership site, like a big membership site, you need to be paying attention to what people are doing or not doing. And you can build automation to support you and your team knowing who do I need to pay the most attention to, okay? Whether they're on the low side of things because their lead score is bad, or they're on the higher side of things. Maybe they're super engaged, and maybe they stay super engaged for like 2 months, and then you want to reward them. So let's use that as like my final example here. Let's go move all this stuff up. So let's say that there's like a super user, you know, so super engaged member. If they go to 5 flames, okay, and they stay at 5 flames, so super engaged member, drop to regular member, engagement. And we'll say, listen, if it decreases to 4 flames, okay? They're at 5, and then they just decrease to 4. You can do something like this. This is like a super member rewards. And you can do something like this, where maybe you wait 2 months, like I said, right? So fine. Go ahead and wait 60 days. And then this is, you know, super user reward, whatever that means for you. You're acknowledging people on a live call, you're sending them something in the mail, you give them access to some program they didn't have access to before, like who knows. But they have to be in here for 60 days before we send a super user reward, okay? Which means that they have to get to 5 flames, and then they have to stay at 5 flames for 60 days, because if they drop to 4 flames, they're getting pulled out of here. Okay? So you can definitely use lead scoring for your membership site for the really good, awesome A students, and then also to like keep track of like them straggling like F students. So I know that today has been advanced stuff. All right. Justin, who I mentioned earlier, who you've seen on the other videos, he's going to be doing talks of automation for the beginner side of things. So as I mentioned at the beginning of all of this, we do a Nights of Automation in our private Facebook group on the second and fourth Thursday of every month at 4 p.m. Pacific. If you want the link to that and you want to be invited into that group, it's free, doesn't cost anything. Just leave a comment. I'll go ahead and send you the link. You might already be a part of it. And what we're going to do is we do these Nights of Automation masterminds, and then Justin's going to talk about the beginner concepts of that, which he did on Thursday. And then I'm going to come on Monday, a couple days after, and talk about the advanced concepts of that. So what I'd recommend you do is go ahead and follow Justin on his Twitch channel, which I'm going to go pull that up right now, which I should have probably had already, which I think I have it if I know my dude enough. Well, there it is. Okay. So Justin's been twitching and live streaming for a while. It's how we got to know each other. He has exceptional production skills in video and editing and things like that. And so a couple of years ago, I said, hey, man, you want to learn how to go ahead and load Facebook ads? And he's like, yeah, I could use some Scratch. And then he got good at that. And then I taught him how to do automation stuff. And then I brought him on full time in July. So what I would recommend that you do is, if this was a little over your head, that's totally cool. Go ahead and follow Justin on Twitch. So this is his handle. It's Jags SXE, JAG SXE. And you can see he's been talking about BPro stuff lately. And he's going to start to do the beginner concepts of whatever we talk about. Okay, so that's it. Go ahead and subscribe. If you liked what you heard today, go ahead and share it, comment, tell everybody about it. If you thought there was something here that doesn't make sense or you disagree with it, I absolutely want to hear what you got to say, because there's probably a bunch of blind spots I have that I really haven't thought about here. So that's it for right now for the talks of automation. You have an awesome day, and then I got a really cool outro for you. See you later, y'all.